what's going on? Man, time flies. It's that time of the week again. What are you listening to, time? We were just talking about Ranma Half, the anime, before we came on. Which I don't remember. I've definitely seen the original, but I haven't seen the new one.
Netflix one.
Yeah.
And the Lord Isaac action figure. Don't forget.
Yes, that was the Lord Isaac action figure. Where can we buy the Lord Isaac action figure, Jeff?
What was his name? Dollar Slice Bootlegs made it. So it was $40. Or
I
you
was
can.
so tempted, but I the first day I got there, I bought like 3 Godzilla things that were like $300.
I was like, if I got to pay $40 for this action figure to like get his autograph and a selfie, I might do it, but I got him anyway. I got him for free, just by schmoozing.
If anyone out there is in the market for a Lord Isaac action figure,
or if Lord Isaac's watching right now, please.
Good evening, sir. Nice action figure.
Big fans.
Big fans. Yes, you're a nice guy. I've been told. Let's do
nice guy.
Yeah, that's good to hear. You know. Let's do the like and subscribe as per usual. Give us a like. Give us a subscribe. Doesn't hurt. Doesn't harm. It's free. There you go. All right.
Daniel doing God's work at the.
There you go. Hi, Daniel.
Yeah. Hardest working man in hardcore.
Yes. The hardest working man. Period. Lasso and Shit. Yep. The new Shit album came out today, actually. I think over here anyway.
I got numerous Bandcamp emails about that record too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Daniel. Let us know when you're going to come on. Sometime in December, we're going to fix a date for your next appearance. Let me know in the comments.
You got to have a Daniel on the show.
There's a quota we have to meet.
Yes. Yeah. All right, it's going to be a great show. Daniel's back. Good to see you. And shall we say, is it a congratulations?
Sure.
Okay. Yes, Daniel's just become an American citizen. There you go.
You're joining the team at the right time.
I know. I was like, I'm coming on kind of after maybe a down period, you could call it. So yeah. But now they can't throw me out, so I can get really weird and terrible.
USA.
Congratulations. I think.
Yeah. Congrats. Yeah.
Thank you,
Tony. Good to see you again. It's going to be a good episode tonight.
Cool. Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Say no more.
I will.
Jeff, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, long time watcher.
Yes. It's good to have you on. As usual, we've each got 5, and I've actually only got 5 tonight. You'll be pleased to hear.
I may have 5.
I have way more. I know how
right. You can be me tonight. You can do the.
I know how we play this game.
The multiples. The multiples.
I'm still in awe of the Swankies pick that had like 6 records in it.
Yeah. I was gonna do that with one of my picks tonight, but I decided not to. I'll tell you why later on. All right, shall we get going?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go first. I was struggling at how to introduce this because it's like I haven't done like a short, sharp shock for a while. A super noisy, very short, aggressive, loud record. I haven't done one of those. And this, I would say this is a short, sharp shock, but it's more than that. Is it UK 82? Factually, yes, it is. It came out in 1982 in the UK, but it isn't UK 82. So I decided to call this. And I have a reason. There he is. Hey, tune in. Thank you, Sean.
That's my friend Robert.
All right. Door. I've lost my friend. What was I going to say?
UK 82.
UK 82, but not UK 82.
UK 82. It's not. It is UK 82, but it's not UK 82. I decided to call this, this ain't your older brother or sister's punk, and I have a kind of reason, a story for why I'm going to call it that. Came out in 82, and like, I got into punk through a classmate of mine called Steve. I've kind of talked about him before. I was into like Iron Maiden and Motorhead and Saxon, blah, blah, blah. And he kind of started playing me punk like Discharge and GBH. I was like, this is kind of familiar. I like this, I like this a lot. And then he'll play me stuff like Cock Sparrow. And even like it wasn't super familiar. It kind of reminded me of like glam rock. So that was kind of super familiar. And then he would play me stuff that like was not familiar at all. It was like, okay, like I've never heard anything that sounds like this. I could probably say that even now, I don't think I've really still like heard anything kind of sounds like what this band were doing at the time. Can you guess what I'm talking about?
Is it a Broken Flag related thing like Romley or something?
Oh, it's not that weird. It's in the sort of punk realm. It was on Crass Records, but I think they're a completely unique band for Crass Records or any label.
Trying to think, it would Omega Tribe, Flux.
That's a good guess. It's a little bit more aggressive than those two bands.
All right, then I give up. Just tell me. Just give it to me.
You want to
just flex on us. Just flex on us.
You want to use the words that you used to describe hardcore with this band, but they're so not. I'm talking about Rudimentary Peni. They decided last year to put this out on a 12-inch 45.
Someone's doing a bunch of reissues for them, aren't they? Like
it's confusing. It's confusing because La Vida Es un Mas, like sealed records, is doing all their reissues right, but this is like a straight ahead like Crass thing. It's on Crass Records. So I don't know exactly what's going on there. I thought Paco had all the sort of right.
Well, there's a Crass Bandcamp page, and there's like that might be on it, but there's also like an MDC LP with like all the singles on it and stuff. Okay. So maybe somebody has revamped Crass and started a Bandcamp page, and they technically, I guess, still have the rights and stuff. So whatever.
Right. I don't like this. I guess it's like sort of a Crass imprint. I think it's called 2x2 and Back Again. They kind of put it too bigly on the front, which I'm not a fan of, but it doesn't matter.
They had to cover the "do not pay more than."
That's why.
Yeah.
There you go.
When you charge
the graphic designer was just like splat. There we go. Easy.
You just change it. Don't pay more than $27 for an
LP. Yeah. Those little things would be useless in the present day. It would be like pay no more than $29.99. Yeah.
It's funny because this was like a $40+ record over here, but I found one used for $10.
Oh, cool.
That's why I got it. So I hadn't. It's funny because I bought like the EPs of RP like again recently. But then I still had to get this like standalone thing, It's funny because like out of the 3 records they did in this time period, like 81, 82, 83, this is sort of a bit different to the first single and the LP. Yeah. It's like it's more like peppy. It's like Nick Blinko kind of sings differently on this record.
Is that before or after Death Church?
It's just before. It's like just before. Yeah.
I guess I don't know.
It's kind of more like it's weird. It is very similar, but there's like a slight difference, like he sings differently, like a slightly higher register. Yeah, like he's like out of breath. It's like he's like taking a big intake of breath, and it's like letting all the words out like after.
Right.
It's instead of like the more sort of lower, kind of slightly lower, almost gravelly sort of delivery. But anyway, it's amazing, and cool. The reason I called it like this isn't your older brother or sister's punk is because like my friend Steve, his older brother lived in the next bedroom, and his older brother was a 77 punk, and he loved all the 77 punk bands. Loved all. He absolutely hated anything from like beyond like 1970. Yeah. He thought it was just like a noise. He would like bang on. He would like
that's funny.
Wall. It was so funny to me because I mean I guess. It is really different to like what was coming out before, right? Right. It's not.
It's probably there's no melody. There's nothing. It's all atonal. So I could see like someone who even like something like The Damned, like hearing Discharge, be like, Jesus Christ! What is it?
He was like Stephen. It was like it was his dad, but it was just his older. It was his older brother. It's like with his like Susie and the Banshees and Damned and Buzzcock and huge record collection, massive.
It's like, that generational thing that moves along of like that's noise, that's not music. Music. And then like every 3 years something else happens where you're like, okay, that wasn't the line, and then this is
It was
everybody.
weird.
Yeah, everybody has the line. Mine was like, that Earth Crisis. That's not hardcore. It's just a bunch of fucking like it. So everybody has that line. Yeah.
It was funny to me though, because I was getting into all of it at the same time, so I could tell. Yeah, you know, Cock Sparrow doesn't sound like Rudimentary Kenai, but I was like, it's not. It is. It is different, but it's like, why not both? You know, it's like, why not both?
It takes a while to get there.
Right.
Some of us aren't as whatever in tuned. So
yeah, but I guess this is it's pretty weird. You know, if you're into like you've already like been listening to the Pistols and the Damned. And,
yeah, it's definitely like trippier. It has, you know, I always, you know, I guess it's like a pretty basic like line to draw, but like, you know, it's like whatever, more hardcore punk like Pill kind of. Definitely like the guitar, you know, definitely whatever. Same.
And yeah, I mean, again, UK82. This doesn't sound like it was made by like factory workers from the East End of London. You know, it was made by aliens.
It's a little artsier, yeah.
A lot artsier,
yeah, definitely.
Great record, classic. It's kind of nice to have it in the big format. I'm wondering if they'll do the other one, the first EP as well. I'll definitely buy that. It does say, it says manufactured and distributed by One Little Indian Independent Records on the
back. That's when I get like the crass emails from Bandcamp. It says One Little Indian.
There you go. There we go. There you go. But at the same time, Paco from Sealed also is doing all the reissues and stuff too. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Whatever.
Yeah. That's my first pick. It's great listening to this last night, like on this like big like 12-inch format, blasting it, annoying my neighbors. I was going to say, I had to mention this a little bit. You know, when I don't know if anybody else did this, but like, I kind of heard all like the first 6 Black Sabbath records all like in the same couple of months. I remember like being really confused by the difference in Ozzy's voice between like the first album and like Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. It's like so different. I had like the same with this as well. It's like Nick Blinko, he sounds really different on this to like the other one. It was like, I don't know. I just wanted to mention that.
Interesting.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of that thing when I was kind of listening to it all at the same time. I was like, is this the same guy? Like how far was this recorded like 5 years before this one? Like, you know.
Yeah. Huh. I never thought about it that way. I never. Yeah.
It is different. I don't know. He's like, it's really just a different approach with the vocals. But anyway,
I mean, like the one that comes to mind for me with that is Metallica. James gradually deciding to sing, and it's like, oh no!
Don't do that. Yeah.
All right.
And you never went back to that style again, so it's kind of interesting. That's my first pick. All right, Daniel, what's your first pick? As an American, what's your first pick?
my first pick as an American.
As a free person.
Whatever you like.
Free, yeah. You're free to pick whatever record you want. Anyway,
as an immigrant person of color in Arkansas, as a free person.
I don't make rules.
I have kind of a theme. Last couple of weeks, it's just been comfort listening, just going back to shit that just I knew. I've had a lot of new stuff come in, and but I've just I have a pile of like 10 records that just I know will bring me joy. So it's all old stuff this week. It's usually old stuff with me, but so my first is, depending on the day, my favorite New York hardcore record.
Cool. So today is that day.
on today, because the other one is
there you go.
But yeah, so it's a record I didn't get to hear till like way after the fact, because when I started listening to punk and hardcore in like early 90s and stuff, and I got into Earth Crisis and stuff, but we were like super into New York hardcore, but like Agnostic Front, Madball, kind of it was very kind of focused that way. And it took a few years and me moving around to like the US and Brazil and then back to Colombia and stuff for me to kind of pick up kind of outside of that very focused New York thing. But when I heard it, I was like, holy shit, this is fucking a Rosetta Stone to a lot of the hardcore that I got into afterwards, because it was a little, I don't want to say more evolved, but it was a little more sophisticated. So, without further ado,
Oh,
Beyond.
there you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
This, like, because this was to me kind of, it has kind of like the posy youth crew thing going. And like, I never was clear on whether, because I remember reading somewhere, Walter from Quicksand talking about how, you know, I listened to them because I would listen to anybody who was like a straight edge band. So I always thought they were a straight edge band. I don't know if they're more like straight edge adjacent, but
they definitely like were X's on their hands when they played in the beginning. Like, but you know, people things change. So
so yeah, a couple of years later, who knows? But this is like, to me, the drumming on this record is almost, because like, you know, you get like on the Cro-Mags records and stuff that really like fucking muscular drumming, and like kind of this to me was kind of wild. The drumming on this is kind of wild. The riffs go places that, having listened to hardcore for as long as I'd had at that point, whatever, 6-7 years, I didn't expect them to. And then like looking at stuff that I got into later that was more like emotional, a little metal tinged, kind of more expressive, I guess. Like this is your Rosetta Stone of that stuff. Like, because, you know, the lyrically, and also like it hit me that lyrically it's, you know, a lot of people say that stuff is corny, and some of that straight edge stuff could be corny or whatever. That's an argument for another day. But these guys were, it was kind of like grounded really personally in like stuff like a song like One Kind Word, where you're like, just, you know, just be nice to someone. Like, fuck. And like, it's really like this to me, everything on it hits. I think guitars are great. Fucking bass is great. Vic, I don't know if he ever played bass on other stuff, because I only know him doing guitar. But
yeah, I can't think of anything he played bass.
Yeah. So like, and as a bass player, or, you know, a guy who played bass more accurately, like this was eye-opening. And it's just, and I think, you know, and I know Revelation repressed it, and I have the repress, of course, because
I was going to ask if that was the repress or the original.
No, this is the original on Combined Effort.
Oh.
So, but yeah, like it's, to me, it's like, yeah, people know about it. Yeah, people talk about it, but I don't think enough people fucking listen to it. You know, there's a lot of like the sincerity and hardcore that I really appreciate in here that I don't hear kind of a lot. And these songs just fucking go, man. They're fucking, you know, like again, this week I just needed to listen to shit that I knew made me happy. And this shit, like I'll listen to it and I'm like, okay, I'll drive 2 hours to the fucking citizenship thing and I'll fucking smile through it and get shit done. So yeah. No Longer at Ease, Beyond, one of my favorite fucking records ever.
Yeah. And I think the thing that makes that different is like those dudes are definitely like metalheads who got into hardcore, and then like from like metal and then like into like the youth crew hardcore thing. So like it was kind of like covertly metal influenced. Like, you know what I mean? Like the riffs were very metal, but like it was like if Minor Threat heard like Iron Maiden or something, like it was like, you know,
now that's something you want to hear.
I don't see that actually.
I think that's kind of it. It's just like they were like super tech, like, you know, like dudes who played, you know, like they were guys who probably like whatever hung out and like, oh, can you play this riff? Can you play that riff? And then like, then they were playing hardcore. Like,
and all those dudes kind of went on to do like really interesting stuff, like, you know, Orange 9mm and
it was a springboard for a lot of stuff. 1 point, I mean, Kevin Egan, 1.6 band, like that to me, like they're the unheralded band of the 90s. Like they're they should be talked about more, but hey, social love bands. But anyways, my go here.
I was going to say, just before we move on, wasn't it like International Straight Edge Day the other day?
Yeah, it was Edge Day yesterday, I believe. Yes.
Yesterday, the same day as you became an American, Daniel.
Like, no, Edge Day, and then like
the day
and then the next day.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I had all kinds of stuff going on the last couple of days.
Multiple things to celebrate.
Yeah. Oh, and for the person in the chat, it is Boylan's early tempo.
Oh, There you go.
Keeping it straight edge.
All right. Tony, what's your
all right, my first is a pretty beat up copy. Arizona Disease. It is a split 7-inch between two bands, the Junior Chemists and the Seldums. They were two bands out of Phoenix, Arizona in the early 80s. 7-inch came out on Subterranean out of Berkeley, who put out Flipper and Code of Honor, etc. I want to say it's 1980. It's pretty early. The Junior Chemist band has Mike Cornelius, who went on to be in JFA and were in Placebo Records. This stuff is definitely not like proto-hardcore or punk adjacent. Like, it's a record that's always, if you buy and sell records and so, so buy collections, sell collections, like records kind of come and go out of your hands. And this one came in recently. I got a collection from somebody and I re-listened to it and I was like, God damn it, this is good. Like, I forgot how good it was, but it's it's pretty rudimentary, like kind of arty, like pop. I always wondered if like beat like Calvin Johnson or like Beat Happening, like if there was some kind of like record they were into. Like, they're simple songs, songs about building forts, songs about itchy worms. Like it's goofy bullshit, but it's fun, and it's just kind of goofy, kind of like arty, like arty avant pop, like silliness. There's also like a Phoenix scene report on the back cover that mentions the Meat Puppets, and as one word, Meat Puppets, kind of weird. And a bunch of bands I'd never heard. Oh, the Feeders are on here, but like a bunch of bands I've never heard of. The Roll-Ons, the Lachette, Queen of the Bullwhip, the Phantom Limbs. They sound pretty interesting. But yeah, I'm sure like you can find a copy this beat up for $1 somewhere. It's not like a KBD banger or whatever the kids call it. But yeah, it's like goofy, the labels have like goofy little drawings of them on there. It's kind of like cutesy core before there was such a thing, I guess.
Interesting.
But it's kind of cool in the way of like I was digging through records and I found this and I just kept listening to it. Like, man, this is good. So you go on Google and you type in, and there is some kind of like GeoCities website that has like their whole demo tapes, like 12 songs on it, which I was like, holy shit! Like, I found a mother load. Maybe one day if I win the lottery, I'll put it out in deluxe
box set.
Yeah. But for now, I'm sure you can find this for a couple bucks somewhere. Arizona Disease, Junior Chemists, and the Seldons. That's my first pick.
That's nice. Actually, when you said Subterranean, that immediately got me thinking about a couple of things. Like, you'd get the sort of mail order catalog, I guess it would be. And you'd get a lot of mail order catalogs back in those days, right, from like record stores and stuff. I remember like every time I would sort of see the Subterranean one, it would be like, I haven't heard of any of these groups. It was always like a little bit out there kind of thing.
Yeah, like they had the one, like they had a few, like I guess punk or hardcore records with like Code of Honor and like Flipper and Society Dog, like stuff like that. That was kind of like punker music. Right. But yeah, then there was like the artier San Francisco stuff, like Toiling Midgets and Victims and stuff like that. Yeah, but it's all good stuff.
Yeah. I love the idea of having a scene report like with your record. Like that, like printed on the record's weird. Like a little insert, like that's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah,
I got a demo like last year from a band from San Diego, and with the demo, they gave like a little flyer that had like, here's some other cool bands that like we recommend from our scene, and I was like, that's fucking cool. Like this is like now, like
yeah.
It's great.
That's cool. Yeah, that's definitely
it should be a thing.
Not a throwback, but it's cooler to have that information.
No, it's totally a throwback, because I always remember from like MRR had like the scene reports and stuff. So like I feel like young kids need to like know about that. Like that's cool.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Nice.
Well, that's me. Yeah.
All right.
Beautiful.
My turn.
All right, Jeff. What's your first?
So there is a band that they've been around couple of years, they've got like 7 LPs, a bunch of EPs. Originally from Portland, relocated to Chicago. Kind of been on my radar as like, oh, this band's fine. I dig them. Like, they have like, they caught my eye first because they have like a lot of great merch. Like their merch is like on point, which is like, as a graphic designer, that's going to appeal to me.
It is your passion.
It is. My graphic design is my passion. And so they're always fine. And then the new record came out, and I think I was listening to like either Homefront or High Viz or something, and a single from the new record was on in this shuffle on Spotify. And by the time the song wasn't even done yet, it was already in a playlist. I was like, holy shit, what is this? Like, I got to give this band another shot. And I just saw them a couple weeks ago. The band is Soft Kill.
Okay.
So they just put out this record, literally the day they started their tour this fall. They put this record out. But this is not the record I'm talking about. I'm talking about their LP that came out earlier this year. I did it, you guys. I told you I'd do it.
That's a pretty good mic. You pulled a good mic.
Well done, sir.
Pretty good. This was an easy one. So it's crazy to me that they put out a 13-song 12-inch, a proper LP, a 3-song, one-sided 12-inch in the same year, and they're all really, really good. And not that their old stuff is bad in any way. Like, I think it just didn't click for me as much. And now that I became obsessed with this record, I went back and I was like, oh, you know what? Like, there's some real bangers on these like other records too. Like, but there was just some secret special sauce on this record. The song "Joy Is a Crime" is the one that like really hit me, and I got a "Joy Is a Crime" tattoo like 2 months ago. Like. Oh. This record's not even a year old, and I'm already like in the game.
We're all in, man.
Yeah, this band rules. And they put out this record themselves. Like, they assembled thousands of these things, and they're like a DIY band. And musically, like, I don't know, like post-punk, dark wave. I don't know, but like they recently toured with like a whole bunch of oi bands, like really good oi bands. And like in talking to them, they were like, we play this kind of music, but this is what we want to listen to. Like, so they brought Beton Arme on the whole tour. Concrete Elite played like 2/3 of the tour. Wow. No Time played when I saw them. Like, it was awesome. Great band. And like, if this is an indication of like where they're going, like, they put out 2 good records in a year. Like, it's insane. But I've just been obsessed with them.
It's also a band that's been doing it for a while before the whole like. What was it that Mike called it the other day? The post-punk exhaustion.
Oi Division.
Yeah, like they've been walking that walk and talking that talk for years.
What's crazy also is that like I feel like they could be a lot bigger, but they just want to be like a DIY band doing this sort of thing. Like, I'm sure they can get management and play like fests and stuff, but like they just don't want to. I think there's something really cool about that.
Yeah. I have a single with them with Jerry A. They cover they do Blitz songs. They do like yeah. I have that.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Cool. Yeah,
I have that as well.
That's Jerry A. singing with Soft Kill.
Yeah.
They did a collaborative band. I know it's on TKO. I can't remember the name of it right now, but there's like a band that's like, is it Jerry? Oh no, I think it's like somebody from Blitz, somebody from Fucked Up, and then the guy from Soft Kill, like. Collaborating on a 7-inch, and it's on TKO. So it's like they just sort of do what they want, which is like really cool too.
Yeah. Definitely.
Cool. That's a name I've seen, a band I've seen talked about a fair bit, but I haven't checked out yet. So
I would say if anything, just start with the most recent Escape Forever LP.
Yeah,
that for some reason it just really got
that LP is
it's ridiculous.
Probably their best in my opinion.
It definitely is, yeah.
The one that you showed first, that one?
The first one's called Roseland. Okay. This one's Escape Forever. The Roseland's just a 3-song, one-sided 12-inch, and there's a Agnostic cover.
Oh, circles.
Huh. They do circles, and the way they do it is they do the Dave Smalley version and the Sean Brown version. So he's yelling and singing, and it's like, you've done your research. It's like, good job.
I see what you're doing.
Yeah, I get it too. But I would listen to Escape Forever. It's incredible. Easily one of my top records of the year.
Nice. All right. So this record, like a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I kind of pronounced on like social media that it was one of the best like hardcore punk records of all time. I was excited. I just bought it. It was the first time I'd ever owned it on vinyl. I was like really, really excited. I think it still is. I still hold that belief 3 weeks later that it is one of the best like hardcore punk records. Came out in 1987, I'm going to say. Yeah, 1987. Swedish band. They are underrated. I hate using that word, but they are underrated. When people talk about like Swedish hardcore, it's the usual suspects, and then usually kind of sort of in the D beat sort of realm, like Anti-Cymex. All those bands are great, of course, but this band isn't that. They're kind of something completely different, and I was like super like stoked to get this on vinyl. I don't think it's a particularly like rare record. I think Daniel might be a fan of this band and this record, but Puke.
Oh, hell yeah.
The original was called Back to the Stone Age with the same cover art, but this is like the reissue, and it's got like a bonus track from the Really Fast Volume 4 comp, so they renamed it Back to the Puke Age. I kind of like that name better, actually. Puke. Back to the Puke
I
Age.
picked up the CD reissue with it was just kind of a discography release of that, purely on the cover. I was just like,
there's a lot going on here.
I'm really
I don't know.
I was like, this is
what's got is that like
amazing.
Brezhnev in the boiling pot there? It's a sort of
looks like it.
An authority, like a politician sort of figure.
Yeah,
like Brezhnev a little bit. It kind of matches the era, I suppose. But man, this record is just like, if you've not heard this, I would urge anyone to like check it out.
100%.
It's unbelievably amazing. It's like this. It's got like so many kind of little influences that I hear, but yeah, it's still like kind of unique sounding. It sounds Norwegian actually to me. Like it sounds more like the sort of big melodic hardcore that was coming out of Norway, like So Much Hate, stuff like that. Big songs, like super melodic, very urgent. Anthemic, fast, like incredible musicianship, but you don't get sort of like, it's not like too flashy. They're just like really, really good musicians, like twin guitars, like urgent vocals that kind of remind me of Japanese hardcore too at times, and a little bit of like Poison Idea Attack as well in there, and just the riffs. We've got to mention the riffs that this band has, like. So I was going to like do a little sort of side complaint about like other bands to sort of make a point about this record. It's like a lot of hardcore bands have a like really good sort of like intro to their song, like a build up, and then it just gets to that part, ding, 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 and it's like ding, 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 and it's great, and you're excited. Then like the main riff comes in, and it's really boring. It's like it's such like you know what I mean? You know those songs,
yeah,
right? Mm-hmm. And then the whole song is like that very boring riff, but the intro is like really good. This band is the opposite. The intro is amazing, and then the main riff is even more amazing than the intro. So it's like, oh man. So it's like it just goes like
I was gonna say, because their shit, like most of their songs, the entire song has that intro energy to it.
Right.
It just feels like it's got a really a lot of energy. Like the thing with the two guitars, they don't go for like, they're not trying to like fuck each other over or like show off on each other. They're just both pushing like the song as far as it can go.
Right.
I really love that.
It really moves. It's like it just moves on its like own energy. It's like, and like I said, the musicianship is amazing. But they were from Sweden. I don't think like people tend to like the sort of D beat stuff more, or like the like Astakask, like the melodic stuff. It's kind of in the middle of those two in a kind of way. But it's like, it's definitely hardcore. It's a little goofy too. They have like it's like the stupid
with a name like Puke.
and then this cover up.
Really?
Who'd have thought? It's like it's got a little like Stupids vibe to it. Like when they do like little funny, you know what I mean, like little funny skits and stuff.
Goofy, yeah.
You know what I mean? It kind of reminds me of the Stupids a bit, like in that way too. But this is an absolute classic. I can't. I'm so excited to own this on vinyl. It's amazing. One of the best. It's definitely, if not the best, one of the best hardcore records. One of the best hardcore records out of Sweden. Let's narrow it down a little bit to be more.
I just wrote down, just to remind myself, like on my little thing here on my desk, I wrote Puke. So I'm just waiting for like tomorrow, like my wife walking in, like,
It's like, did I puke? Do I have to puke this morning?
A week later, looking at it like,
Anyway,
maybe write back to the puke cage in smaller letters underneath.
Parentheses, punk band, punk, parentheses, whatever, Holland, or whatever they're from. Yeah, anyway, sorry.
So, yeah, this is like the issue came out in 2009 already. So, but it's out there. It's out there. There's a CD too, like Daniel said, the discography.
Yeah,
CD.
with like a ton of like, I think the CD is basically discography, and actually I think that's, I may be wrong, but it's kind of an expensive CD. It's like
really one of those, a rare CD.
Yeah.
It's got like the first single was like called Back to the 30s, and then they had like Back to the Stone Age. I wouldn't know if they hadn't broken up. I wonder what they'd be going back to. But I don't know. So.
Yeah.
They ran out of things to go back to.
Let's break up. We've got no more ideas.
Our work is done here.
Yeah, clearly.
They're going to reunite and do Back to the Stone Age.
Yeah,
it is, man. I honestly like.
I see the merch.
Yes. I mean, people who've heard this record know what I'm talking about. People who haven't heard this record, please hear it. It might surprise you how good it is. It's really good.
I'll be doing my homework on that one.
Puke, Back to the Puke Age / Stone Age. I'm excited just talking about it. It's one of those records. I'm excited just talking about it.
I'm gonna listen to it when we're done here. Like a minute.
That ding 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 ding. It's like a little bit of Iron Maiden in there as well. Maybe this is the band that would have formed if
the Maiden and Mackay had
Hey,
that's not far off, man. That's not far off.
All right, Daniel, what's your second pick?
I'm gonna switch up the order on mine just so I can stay a little bit in theme with you.
All right.
I'm just gonna show the record.
No build up.
Nope. Satan's Hollow.
Oh,
you heard?
Mm-hmm. The name is saying to me a new wave of British heavy metal.
So 2017 or 2019. From Chicago, sounds like Angel Witch mixed with like Diano era Iron Maiden, a little bit of Manila Road, and a great female singer. It's like crack to me. Like whenever I put it on, it's like every song I'm like, yeah. And then like the second one, and then like by the end of the record, I'm like, fucking let's go. Like in terms of bands doing like, I don't know, power, trad, new wave of British heavy metal stuff. And there's a ton of it now.
Right.
Me, like of all the stuff that's, and like there's stuff like Smolder that's a little more like doomier and stuff. And
right. Yeah.
But they were kind of in that wave. And I believe they broke up because the guitar player wanted to do something else. And he's fantastic. He's guy I think he was writing most of these, I believe, and just channeling like the marrow of stuff like Killers era, Maiden, Angel Witch, and the singer just bumps it. Like it's so catchy. They have like your requisite like mid tempo like dun 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 dun, like just that song, and that song still gets you fucking like
right.
Ooh. So yeah. So like for a record that came out in like, the late 2010s, to channel that much of like everything I love about the new wave of British heavy metal. I mean, and when it came out, like it's kind of funny because like that scene that like goes to like Prog Power USA and buys all the like, all the like Hobbit metal shit that comes out. They're very insular. Like they kind of have their own shows, their own scene, their own videos, their own labels and stuff. So like I saw it hit huge there to where like there was backlash against it. Like I remember reading like a review where people were going like, this is great, but like it has flaws, people. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. But it hit huge. And then like everybody was like, these guys, the next record's going to be like the fucking thing. And then the guitar player can. And they went on. The singer and the bass player, who I know, really cool dude who runs a label in Chicago. They went to a band called Midnight Dice, which is a little less Maiden, but still kind of hard rocky, just great shit. But this thing is just like it's out on CD. There's 2 pressings of the vinyl. There's a Bandcamp. There's a song on here called The Horror, which is one of my favorite power metal songs of all time. I will put that up against like, you know, Gamma Ray, Iron Maiden, Blind Guardian, whatever you want to fucking bring to the table. Like, it's so tight. It's so well recorded. The feel of the whole record. And it's another one where like the sequencing is really good. So there's like a whole field. Like you sit and you're like, I'm going to listen to like a couple songs, and you fucking listen to the whole thing.
Is that a High Roller release?
It's on Underground Power Records out of Germany.
Okay. That's a new one to me.
Yeah, but I think the repress was American.
Okay, all right.
But I mean, you know, they're called Satan's Hollow. Look at that cover, like,
yeah,
beautiful.
It's like an oral denim vest. It's just so good.
I want to paint that on the
Put
back.
it on. Put it on.
Yeah, that's a hype sticker right there.
That's great. An oral denim vest. That's all we could say. We could have moved on. It's like, it sums it up like perfectly.
It sounds the way a denim vest looks.
Great.
Yeah,
I'm intrigued. I love that. I'm all about that kind of stuff, you know. Even though it was kind of oversaturated genre at one point, especially like a lot of female-fronted bands, all kind of quite good, but a lot of records, a lot of bands.
And I will say, like, one of the things is her performance on this. It's got so much blood to it, you know. Like it doesn't feel like she just knows how to sing. Like, you know, she's singing about the horror, and you're like, oh yeah, here fucking comes the horror.
In a denim vest.
No less.
All right, Tony.
That's my second pick. Recommended for everyone.
I'm intrigued. Absolutely. All right.
I'm gonna go out of the sequence and or the way I pile them up. I don't know if it kind of follows what you guys have done in some way, in just that it's non-punk heavy music, and it's ridiculous. Whiskey Stick.
Whiskey Stick. Look at that.
On the Level.
Status Quo title.
Tell me more.
So I don't know if there's this label called Northwest Metalworks. That's they do like small batch reissues of like just obscure hard rock and metal from Pacific Northwest. They did this book that's like, I have it in the other room. It's like a phone book. It's like their history of like hard rock in Pacific Northwest from like 1970 to 1990. And it's like, even if it's, you know, a band that played a state fair in Idaho, but they were from that band, like that, they're in there. Like it's pretty ridiculous, but nonetheless, Northwest Metalworks, it's like hit or miss. It's all over the place. Like I said, they'll put out like reissue like thrash metal stuff or just, you know, stuff that's hard rock. So Whiskey Stick were from, I believe they were from Oregon in the 70s. And these are just kind of demos they recorded in the 70s that they unearthed and put out on LP. I get the feeling Mike will appreciate this. If you're a fan of Coverdale era Deep Purple,
Who isn't?
Stormbringer era, and even the drummer is wearing a Deep Purple shirt on the back.
Let's look at him again. He looks great.
Wait, hold on. No, if you want to see the, because this is almost why I bought like a few years ago. A friend of mine told me about this label, and I just was like, sign me up. And I just ordered like 100 Whatever. Kind of shit. I just sat there and listened to it. And this really stuck with me. Like I listened to it and I was like, yeah, I'm into this. But then I pulled out the insert and I saw this photo and I was like, I like this. This is the keyboard player.
Oh my God.
With the hat on and the shades. Pretty cool dude.
He reminds me of someone.
Those are pretty big shades. That's pretty big.
He's a pretty big guy. And he's like, I don't know if that was like his thing, like, hey, I dress up like a pig. Like, I don't know. Like,
You know what he reminds me? He reminds me of the policeman on the cover of like that Savage Grace record? Big picture of the policeman on the cover. He looks like that.
Maybe. This guy's kind of got like a bootleg Huey Lewis thing going on.
Huey Lewis.
But I don't know.
I personally love bands where it looks like everybody in the band was in a different band.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It's a niche thing to
enjoy.
It's
definitely like every guy was like, no, the band is like this. No, we're this kind of band. Like, there's sort of like, have you ever, there's like a record by this band called the $5 Shoes. It's like a really obscure, like 70s rock record, but the photo of them on the back is like nobody called each other that day. Because like one dude was literally dressed like almost like a member of Kiss. Like he has like stacked boots on and like one guy's just wearing a flannel shirt. But yeah, kind of similar to this. But I don't know. Again, if you like kind of like, cheesy, hard rock of the mid 70s, a lot of good cheesy lyrics. I was music making and the crowd was shaking. That's just a little of the genius that's on this thing. But yeah, You Ain't Nothing Fancy. It's a song title. The Mountain of Love.
The Mountain of Love.
Yeah. So if you're a fan of such things, Whiskey Stick is the band for you. It's like, and the guy definitely is a good, like, he's definitely like John Lord inspired dude. Cool keyboard player. But yeah, that's my second pick. Whiskey Stick on the level. If you like,
that's going on the list. I got to hear what that guy in the picture sounds like.
Well, he sounds cooler than the photo. Let's just say that.
Coverdale era
sounds like that guy.
Yes. Yeah. It's funny though. Like I always say, and I'm probably wrong about this. I always say that like when it comes to sort of like hard rock and metal, America was a bit behind the UK and Europe.
Oh yeah,
there's not as many like. There's actually almost none. There's a few. There's like Royster Colton. I mean, but like when you consider like the size of the, I mean, obviously there were. I mean, you just said like that book is just like a regional book full of bands, but like I do feel like the USA was sort of behind the UK in the 70s. But when we get to like thrash, then America sort of takes over, and the UK is like left way like far behind. It's a funny sort of trajectory.
Same thing with prog, like American prog. Yeah,
it's slim pickings, right? For American prog.
Kansas,
Starcastle.
I like. Starcastle's not that bad, but
it is.
Put next to Kansas, it's not that bad.
Early Kansas is good though.
Yeah, we can talk about that some other day.
Yes, different show. Nice. I'm excited about that record. All right, Jeff, what's your second pick?
So my next record is a band that just released a brand new record today. So I can't talk about it because I pre-ordered it. I literally ordered it hours ago. They're currently on tour in Europe, and I saw this band back in January, I think, on a random Thursday at the Jersey Shore. They're from Texas. They're called Liberty and Justice. This was their most recent record before the one that just came out. Top of the scrap heap. And it's really weird. Like it's got like cotton candy on the cover. And the record itself is kind of like cotton candy pink. But then you see the singer and he's got like head tattoos. So like musically, like I would say they probably would categorize themselves as like an oi band, but like there's so much more than oi, obviously, by the cotton candy on the cover. I would say it's almost like people who grew up listening to Rancid and weren't afraid to take some of the things that Rancid did that were cool. Like they have a keyboard player in the band. He wasn't on the tour that I saw them with, but like there's definitely like prominent keyboard in this, so it's almost got like a bit of a reggae. Like there was like on the last record they did was a split with a band called Empire Down, and there was a straight up ska song on there. Like it sounded like I Want to Riot by Rancid, like on purpose. Like and
that's a bold move in 2024.
And that's the thing too. It's like, man, imagine like being like, yo, we got head tattoos. We're an oi band. Here's a fucking ska song. Like, fuck you if you don't like it. Like, it's kind of awesome that they could just do that. And like the new record has a song, and I was playing it for a friend the other week, and I was like, yo, this reminds me of that Weezer side project band, The Rentals. But like
the Matt Sharp band.
Yeah, and like there's a song on the new record that I don't have.
Rules.
Yeah, it's great. I haven't listened to it in like 25 years or something. But I was like, the keyboard on it, like it's a very prominent keyboard to it. So yeah, like they're, I guess, an oi band, but like I remember after they played, like a friend of mine who's like a skinhead was like, I never saw oi like that, and it's like, hey, you fucking have it. It's like great.
Oh,
so yeah, Liberty and Justice. They're like literally on tour in Europe right now. They put out a record today called Locked In. It's streaming already, so you can listen to it. Yeah, they're just like they're doing their own thing, which I think is really cool. Like and to connect it to the previous thing I did, they did a split with Soft Kill recently, where Soft Kill has a song from their most recent LP, and then Liberty and Justice has a song from their LP that just came out, and then they both do covers to fill out the split.
What are they covering
for this one?
I'm getting like a real like sort of 70s glam vibe from the cover of that record, and I was wondering, like, you know that Italian band Guida?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember.
Mm-hmm.
It's not quite like that, but like I mean, the two of the guys have head tattoos, and then the guy that's smiling in here got replaced by another guy with head tattoos. So it's like a fucking infomercial for getting a head tattoo. Like I left there and I was like,
sure.
One guy left in the band without it. He's not long for this world, probably.
There's only two guys without head tattoos in that band. They're at a 3-to-2 ratio. So I'm like,
sounds like a merch idea that they should get, like the like the kind of tattoos you get for kids on Halloween, just on the head. Boom.
Like a rub-on tattoo.
Maybe. Yeah.
But yeah, that band rules. Yeah, definitely like it's a disservice to call them an oi band, I would say.
Okay.
But I like that, like in the midst of the whatever oi renaissance we're in, with all the French oi and like, American stuff coming out, that there are bands that are, because listen, like, you know, if you do it, like my favorite of the whole new generation is Legion 76, and that's just like really leaning into the melodic side of it.
Yeah, it's catchy as shit.
But then like something like that keeps it fresh. And what's the one that's like fucking sounds like Celtic Frost and oi mixed? That's on Mendeku.
Shit, Terror.
It's not Lost Legion, is it?
I mean, Lost Legion is awesome. It could be.
Yeah. But it's one of the Mendeku bands that like literally sounds like fucking like a metal band playing oi, kinda. And I was just like, yes, 100%. Let's do something else.
Like it's really easy to do a boring, crappy oi band, but like to make it like interesting, like
America, fuck yeah, oi.
Yeah, America, fuck yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's types of things where it's like you kind of have to remind people like this is punk, you know, like it's not just this like weird skinhead thing.
Right. I love the look of that record. I don't know why it really appeals to sort of the glam rocker in me. I don't know why.
It's fucking.
But just like the bubbly, like the font and the bubbly fonts.
Yeah, and you can't really see it like too well, but it's very like half tony, like the image is very half tone.
Well, apparently Scar is back. According to Lord Isaac.
I had a Less Than Jake record on my record player today.
Did you? That's what happens when you become an American.
That's what happens when you spend your mid-90s in Florida.
Anyway. This band is definitely a band that the big brother I was talking about in round one was into. I know he was, because I used to hear this band's records coming out of his door, drowning out our Antisect and Rudimentary Penine records. But he wouldn't have heard this record by that band, because I don't think it had been released yet, although it had been recorded. I don't think in like 1983, I don't think the general public had access to these recordings. I'm kind of surprised this band hasn't been talked about yet on this show. Maybe they have. I didn't actually search. I know that this record hasn't been shown. Maybe this band has been. Big band, one of the big bands of like 1977. We were talking about Magazine last week, right? Howard Devoto, Magazine. Of course, he was in another band before he was in Magazine. He was in that band for a short time. He left quite quickly. One EP, but there's other recordings. Man, talking about this. The Buzzcocks, Time's Up.
Oh, yeah.
Have you guys heard this?
Yeah.
I hadn't heard it until like last week. I was very impressed by like how fucking good it is. You know, like, is it like one take? Like then they were recorded in an afternoon, like no overdubs, no remixing. Knocked it out in an afternoon in October 1976 in a room in Manchester. 4 of the songs they kind of re-recorded for the EP, Spinal Scratch. But these are sort of rudimentary, like raw versions of that, plus some other songs. Man, it's so good. This could be like, you could almost say this is like one of the best punk records of like that era. It's like, it's so good. I don't like it. What would have happened if this had come out as is, like in 1976? What would people have thought about it? You know?
I remember the first time I heard it, I was like, this is the punkest fucking Buzzcocks thing I've ever heard.
It's so amazing. It's like it's so good. And you know, it's perfect. It's like, I mean, people you'll see reviews and say, well, it's sort of too raw. No, it's perfect. It's like it doesn't need anything done to it. It's like it's perfect as it is, you know. And you know, people talk about like the first D beat song, you know. You Tear Me Up. Buzzcock. That's on here too. But like when you listen to it, I was like, this, well, apart from something that it actually does sound a bit like Discharge. Like the sound of it. It's like it's kind of heavy. And the bass sound, it's like, man, 1976, recorded for £45 in a room in October in like, you know, one afternoon.
Wow.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I mean, honestly, people should be saying that this is one of the best punk records of all time.
Posting
it is amazing. It's like it's
posting it on Twitter to see what Mick Harris has to say about it.
Come on, let's not talk about him. But yeah, you know, it's funny because they do you know, I Love You, You Big Dummy, like, you know, Captain Beefheart, which didn't they do that again? Didn't they?
Magazine did it.
Magazine did it. Yeah. So that's kind of almost showing this like a bit more arty side of like how it's right.
Yeah.
But for the most part, raw punk.
Yeah, and for the most part, Captain Beefheart was punk. Like, so, this was before punk was punk. Sorry. So
exactly. I mean, look at that. I guess this is the picture of they're looking a bit glammy. You know, punk hadn't been invented yet. Right. Yeah. This is punk, and it's like purest raw form.
Yeah.
1976.
Yeah. Uncut
punk. A few hours. And they didn't mean for it to be listened to by the general public. They didn't want it released right. Which is crazy to me. And I guess people heard it for the first time in like 1991, I think. It came out as a bootleg or something like that. Is that right? Something like that. This is like an official Domino Records reissue.
Yeah, I never saw that cover. I worked at a record store where we got bootlegs of it, but not with that cover.
Okay, what's the other cover? Do you remember?
Now I gotta go. I don't have it. I don't own it anymore or anything. I'd have to look on Discogs.
Mike's giving people homework during the show.
No, it's just a really
it could, you know, it could also be I'm old and don't remember things the way I used to.
I feel like when I looked at it on Discogs, there were like other covers and there's like a ton of bootlegs. Oh, yeah. This is like an official Domino Records reissue.
I don't know that I've seen a non-bootleg version of that.
Yeah, Domino Records 2017.
Oh.
Domino. Man.
Okay.
Like that, right?
Yeah, that one you have is like from the 80s, actually, it says. So I don't know.
So they just sort of reproduced the 80s
version.
So good.
Oh yeah, okay. The one I've seen is a CD, I guess, but it's got like a yellow and blue striped cover. There's a picture of him in the like lower right.
Okay.
That's the one I remember. So
There you go.
I've seen that CD.
yeah, that's what I remember.
It's I love being like so excited about something that was like, you know, recorded in like 1976, and it took me until like last week to hear it, and then, you know, it's great. I love it. Great pictures as well. Look at these. Howard Devoto, or he's Brian Eno, isn't he?
Yeah.
Right. He's Brian Eno, but
Yeah, that could have been one of his models.
Right. As I saw it, it's like, yeah, hello, Brian.
Here, maybe like the hairdo is kind of like that, between that and maybe like Peter Gabriel, you know.
There you go. Makes sense, right? Yeah. Talking about the sort of everyone being in a different band.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Amazing, absolutely amazing. You know, yeah. Best punk record.
Got the best punk, the best hardcore. We're making headway tonight.
Yes, it's so raw. It's great. I mean, I know I already said it, but imagine if that had come out like as it is in 1976.
Yeah,
people wouldn't have been ready for it. They wouldn't. They really wouldn't.
Yeah.
All right, Daniel. What's your next pick?
All right. My next pick is from the Pacific Northwest. And it's one of my favorite uses of keyboards in a punk kind of adjacent or in the punk scene type thing. Murder City Devils, Name and Blood. I'm not a huge Cramps guy, that kind of garagey style of punk, but this is this everything this week is just shit that like I well tested shit that I love. This record fucking blew my mind when I heard it. I wasn't even that old when it came out, but like in early 2000s or whatever. And it's got such great craftsmanship to the songs. It feels like it feels and sounds like getting whiskey drunk. Like there's songs about like a guy on the gallows and you're looking at him and thinking that could have been me, or you're sleeping with someone's woman and wishing you were with your own woman and that kind of shit. And like, I've been straight edge for almost 30 fucking years. Most of this shit is just stuff that I've learned from watching movies and listening to Tom Waits.
Right.
Like fucking the punk energy is really strong in it, this is on Sub Pop, and they would tour with like hardcore bands and shit. And like they have a record before this that doesn't have the keyboards on it, I think, for the most part. And there was two records before this, I think. No, wait, one before and one after that aren't as keyboard heavy. They got I can't remember her name. Somebody who was like kind of a big person in the Seattle music scene to do keyboards on this record, and they just fucking nailed it. Yeah, and this and
hey,
is right.
Hey.
Yeah, because their other stuff is good, and they've even done some like vaguely recent stuff that's pretty interesting and stuff. But this was like a perfect storm of like Cramp style punk rock, like really well done, well produced, melodic stuff, like ambience, keyboards used absolutely perfectly. There's a Neil Diamond cover on this record. I'll Come Running. Like, yeah. It's absolute. Like when I started, because I came to the States to go to college, and like I had a very tiny vinyl record collection that I could bring. When I eventually started to be like, okay, I'm going to get back into this, was one of the first things that I got back. This was, and I have this CD in the car. I listen to this on the computer, on the record player. Like it's fucking 10 out of 10 record.
Wow. I mean, yeah, Tony's sort of backing you up, saying this is like easily their best record.
I'll say this. This is my favorite release ever on Sub Pop.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow.
I'm just voicing.
Like, how do we?
I'm just voicing a thing that would get me yelled at.
Well, yeah,
It's a controversial one, but I respect it.
So, yeah.
I hadn't heard it, so I can't jump. But I'm gonna.
Yeah, Murder City Devils. That record's just a forever record for me, for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, Tony.
Yeah. All right, my next one is Kilroy. Believe in the Rings. Is anybody familiar with this band?
I can see Doug Moody as the villain down on the board.
So they were, well, I shouldn't say they still exist apparently, play around Southern California, but they were a Southern California punk band, obviously inspired by British punk bands. Yeah, so they did a 7-inch and this 12-inch, and they did like a CD like in the past like 10 years or something. But I don't know, like this was a record. I had an older brother who was into punk and everything, and he had this record, and I don't know, I was like 11 or 12 at the time, and like I think we talked about this on the previous one. Like I know like some of these records aren't like cool, like they're not cool to like, but like I remember as a kid, like records like this or like the cover of that Exploited Troops of Tomorrow record, like being like, what's going on? Like it was like a cartoon, you know, like, oh, is that Oscar the Grouch coming out of a trash can? Like, yeah, like so like these kind of cartoony punk covers really like attracted me. And I found this record for $5 a few weeks ago, and
Nice.
I literally was like, and it was in the record store that my brother still works at. And I was like, you know, one of those moments where I'm like, remember this record, Dad? Remember? You had it? And he's like, no. $5.
Tony, let's give a shout out to the record store where your brother.
Crimson Record Exchange. I'm sure everybody's aware of it who's on the East Coast.
I've been many times.
But anywho, so Kilroy, yeah, they were punk band, Southern California. Yeah, they have some kind of hard-on against Doug Moody from Mystic Records, apparently. Because if you look here, I'm not gonna. But you see, like, there's an arrow to this big castle, and it says Mystic Records, and then he's holding Kilroy master tapes that say "stolen by Mystic Records." So there's a little passive aggressiveness going on this cover, I would say.
Very specific reason to make a record to be like,
It's
fuck
like
you for
Doug Moody's
exactly
like
this.
as well.
I'm making this record out of spite.
So I'm guessing it's not on Mystic.
No, it's on Ghetto Way, which the only record I know is on that label is the first Dr. No record is Ghetto Way / Mystic. So again, the plot fucking thickens here.
Yeah. There has to be a connection with somebody must have been in a band that got screwed over by Mystic.
Somebody needs to write a book about this.
Everybody got screwed over by Mystic.
Some qualified person that we may
Someone needs to get to the bottom of this.
I've never heard
I'm
of
not getting to the point here that this is a really fucking good record. If you like, it's more on the like they're more favor on the kind of goofier side of the UK 82 thing. Like I'd say they like the chanty, kind of like the Addicts, maybe.
All right.
Maybe a little Vice Squad. It's a little like if you see pictures of these guys like online, like there's a Facebook page, like they were definitely like whatever the equivalent of Hot Topic was in LA, like Poser or like those kind of stores. Like they must have just gone in there because like they're literally wearing like those like something that looks like it's from like the sex store, like a bondage shirt or with like the stuff chained on it. You know what I mean? Like total fashion stuff.
Cool.
So, but nonetheless, I don't know like what their status was on the scene at the time, but they put out a 12-inch. It got all the way to New Jersey, and it's kind of like very basic, like just basic blank labels, but enough for a full color cover. I guess they blew the money on that.
Well, they blew the
they
budget.
had an important
They blew
message
the
to get
budget.
across.
Yeah, they're like, blew all the budget on shitting on Doug Moody. Fuck the actual record.
Employing an artist to do a rendition of his Doug Moody's Castle.
And then also, for some reason, I don't know if they were friends with Peter from the Test Tube Babies, but Peter Test Tube
I was like, yes.
as the hero, Doug Moody as the villain. Yeah, it seems like I'm not conveying how good the actual record is and making fun of the cover.
There's a lot going on.
Is there
Yeah,
anything
it's-
lyrically about
Pardon me?
this? Is
What's
there
that?
anything lyrically about the feud on the record?
Oh no,
Or-
no! All the songs are really basic, like they're literally like "oi oi oi" chants and stuff, and like
Yeah,
they're just about like sticking around and whatever.
yeah.
So it's not a
You know what I'm
concept.
talking? Yeah, like just "oi oi oi," like words peppered around "oi oi oi." Just
That
that,
just makes
you know,
the cover even
there's,
more.
there's one song that's about called "Last Resort" that is about like waking up next to somebody in the morning that you regret. So there's that super punk anthem, that real social conscious anthem. So anyways, Kilroy, from what I understand, again, they still play around in California. Maybe they're still good. Maybe they still have it. I don't know. But this record's awesome. Highly recommended if you find it for $5. How about that?
Well, Mike was saying that he had it, and then it took him ages to find it later when he wanted to get it back again, you know?
Well, yeah, that's why it's funny, because I did at one point go on, because I still don't have the 7-inch, which does go for some decent coin. This does too. And it was one of those things where, even though it was like the store my brother works at, when I saw it was $5, I was like, because I also, like, I'm not gonna. It's gonna take a while for me to flip this, just because it has like some kind of weird sentimental thing of like, I remember this when I was a kid. So yeah.
Somebody else who really, really has a thing against Mystic Records.
Yeah.
Like
I don't know if you guys, like, you know, at record fairs and stuff, there's like one person always walks up to every table like, hey, you got records with cars on it? Like, you just want records with cars on it? Or they want like, it's like, hey, you got any records that guys hate Mystic Records? There you go. But anyway, yeah, Kilroy.
That's
Good
fun
record.
to talk about.
That's fascinating. I really want to hear the story
Me too,
behind that
me too.
record so bad.
I'm sure we're putting way too much.
Whatever. Yeah,
weight
it
on
can't
It's probably
possibly live up
Yeah.
to the act of making and putting that cover on your
I will
record.
say this, that like when I talk to older people, like that were in punk rock then, I always bring up like the most obscure bands. Like, hey, did you know the guys in Blankety Blank? And I won't say, but there's somebody where I asked, like, did you know the guys in Kilroy? And he's like, I went over to their house once, and like there was a note on the kitchen table, like here, honey, like we went out, like, you know, get dinner, and it was $100 bill, and he's like, this was 1981. He was like, so, you know, I guess he was trying to say like those guys are kind of like rich dudes or something, like rich kids or something. But I just thought that was.
It's
I was like, that's all I need to know. Thank
ruin
you.
the illusion.
More
Yeah.
layers to what.
Yeah, to the Kilroy
possibly
story,
explain
man.
what you did there.
Next thing, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow with like some kind of threat in a Facebook message, like talking about my band.
That was so much fun to talk about. I can't wait to hear it.
I hope it's worth it.
I'm
sorry for eating so much time talking about it.
I can't
I don't know if it's going to live up to the hype I have in my head for it.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
now I don't want to know. Like just
The
Just
lore.
put the Beyond,
is way
put
more
the, get the cover and just put the Beyond record in, and it'll be good.
There you go. All right.
All right.
Jeff, follow that if you
So,
can.
I'll do my best. So this, like we were saying yesterday, was Edge Day.
Yep.
I'm straight edge, Daniel straight edge, and I wanted to listen
I'm
to
outnumbered.
you
Oh.
say We're Not in This Alone. However,
Is it the original
You're not going
mix?
to show every single straight edge.
I wanted to listen to my favorite version of We're Not in This Alone,
oh hell yes.
which is the Repos covering the entire fucking record. And the
Wow.
story behind this record was, so they call it Ending on a Positive Note. When they broke up originally, they showed up at their last show with 300 copies of this record. No info, no track listing on the back. Just like, hey, there's a record, and it's our last show, and buy the records. Obviously, you bought the records. Their other records are incredible. And then everyone got home and realized it was a straight-up cover of We're Not in This Alone by Ether Today, which is fucking weird.
Wow.
Yeah.
But the way they do it is so aggressive and raw that it's like better than Youth Today. It sounds weird, but it's like, and like listening to this, I was like, oh man, like why can't youth crew type bands sound like this? Like it's just so angry sounding
because they don't drink beer and take cocaine.
So
more reason to be pissed off.
Got me to listen to it again. I had gotten this zine called Ignorant People recently, and they do an interview with the Repos, and they talk about that record, and they were like, "Oh yeah, it was just something we threw together in the studio real fast, like whatever." And I was like, "You don't understand, like
what you've done for me."
What it means to me. It's like awesome because it was like, I don't know. I guess like with me like I'm straight edge, but like the Youth Crew stuff kind of like it gets tiring after a while. So I just felt like it for me like it breathed new life into my ears of like these songs are like pretty fierce. And when I got the zine, it came with this sticker which says, "Please be patient. Driver has the aux and is looking for repos," ending on a positive note on YouTube, which my wife wouldn't let me put on my car. But I know there's a genre
made it just for you.
I know it's so perfect. I have it at my desk at work though, on my little cubicle. But what's funny too about that is like, yeah, that stuff's not on Spotify, and like there's a good blind spot of like good 2000 era hardcore that just sort of missed the streaming world. And I feel like the younger generations maybe just don't know about it. So like there's only like 2 records of the Repos on Spotify, and it's their second LP and then their reunion LP, which came out many years later. But their first record's not on there, and obviously that's not on there, and then all their other stuff. It's really strange. So like I almost feel like the Repos are kind of a forgotten band, even though they're playing again, it seems.
Dude, I have tickets to see them November 9th in Chicago with Cloud Rap, and I can't go.
Oh, no. Why not?
Because I forgot when me and my girlfriend for our 10th anniversary, we're going to Disney World.
Oh.
And it's literally the day we fly to Orlando. And for a while there, I was trying to go to Chicago, go to the show, fly to Orlando, catch up with my girlfriend, and go to Disney World. But then I was like, I'm 43 years old. I will fucking die.
It's rough, man. I only saw the Repos once, and they were fucking great. And it was after they've been reunited and stuff like that. But they did do 2 Youth of Today covers at that show, and it was like...
Am I dreaming? Did they record something under the name The Ropes?
The Ropes, yeah. Okay. So they got back together and they called themselves The Ropes. And then there was apparently some bigger band called The Ropes that threatened to sue them. And they're like, fuck it, this is stupid. Let's just be the Repos again. But they put out like 2 records as The Ropes. Maybe they were demos.
Oh, yeah.
And then I think there's a Ropes full length that I think just came out on cassette. And then, or maybe it was a Repos full length I don't remember. There's Ropes and Repos
there's the one LP that's just tape, and then there's those reissues that came out a couple of years ago. Remember those?
The first 2 records got reissued.
Yeah, the first 2 records, which sound fucking great. I love that version of "We're Not in This Alone" because it sounds like drunk, angry punks playing Youth of Today, and it's so good.
Yeah, it just sounds like they're psychopaths. It's amazing.
I mean, even the Youth of Today one sounds, to me, it sounded quite unhinged, like when I first heard it.
Yeah, the original mix is...
Yeah. This is like the original, like Caroline that I have here. But yeah, no, it's I think what's funny too is like I think a lot of people like think of like the straight edge stuff like a little bit more polished, like like Bold or something like that. But they're like, Youth of Today is raw. Like, I don't think people think of them in that way. They think of them as
I think that's it. Is people don't understand that. Like that sounds like some people don't understand, but like in the present day, like it's more of like again like all the peripheral crap, like the fucking Varsity Jackets and everything like that. Like underneath it all was like it was this like as corny it was like return of like real raw hardcore.
It was really the first revival.
Yeah, and like for someone like me who like came in at a certain point where it seemed like I feel spoiled in saying that, but like in the way of like coming in and be like, man, I missed it. And then like a year later, like Youth of Today came and I was like, oh, well, this is good enough. Like,
Yeah, I went to see them in like 1987 in England, in Bristol, which is like
nice.
punk town, Chaos UK, Disorder, Punk Town Central,
Yeah.
and people
Back from the Kilroy record. Yeah.
people loved them. Everyone loved them,
That's awesome.
because they were just raging, and they had a good sense of humor too. They read the room perfectly. They knew where they were.
Wow.
Yeah, and they weren't for like all their fans. They weren't like myopic dudes. They grew up in a punk scene with where it wasn't what it became after them. So yeah, they weren't like
I love those records. Those early youth, their records are amazing. Yeah. And the Repos.
Still a fan.
And the Repos are great too.
I think I've got the first Repos record. It's got like a black and white cover, I think.
They all have black
and white cover.
Okay, I've got one of the ones that has black and white.
One with the black and white cover.
Okay, it's probably just over there. I'll show you after the show. You can tell me which one I have. All right. Okay, my next pick is probably, well, not probably. It is like my most sort of obscure pick of the evening. It kind of follows on from last week when we were talking about, Anne showed the record by a Brazilian band called Mercenarios, which it's on my wants list, and I've been looking for it for a while, and I love that band, but I still don't have the record. But I remember that I have a record by a band that has like one member of that band, and it's kind of obscure, but I've been listening to it a lot. And it's kind of complicated. They have a kind of complicated history, and I'm not super familiar with the band, so I'm going to sort of wing it a bit with my description of this and everything. But let's just show the record. So this is the record that I'm going to talk about. It's great. So it's like, this is like the picture, but then they have like the non-blurry photo on the back. It's AKT3 or Act 3. And it's complicated because I talked to Kazu, who does like Punk and Destroy and record store in Osaka, and this is kind of like his speciality, like post-punk and this kind of stuff. So he told me that like Act 1, they used that name to describe like 3 gigs they did in Sao Paulo at some point in maybe the early 80s. They called themselves AKT1. And then they recorded some other songs under the name AK2, which kind of appeared on a compilation album of like Brazilian post-punk. And then they recorded some other songs, and they used the name AKT3, and these are those songs put out on this Discos Nada put them out on this record in 2022. The songs were recorded in 1990. I'm fascinated by like Brazilian post-punk. Well, I mean, we haven't even like touched the surface. Daniel, maybe you know more about it than I do, but like.
Yeah, I was in Brazil in the 90s, a little bit towards the mid to the late 90s. Recommendation for you. There's a label called IFB Records, Florida, and they pick up a lot of like Brazilian post-punk, not just reissues, but stuff that's going on now. Okay. It's a friend of mine, this dude named Nevin. IFB was probably one of the best labels in Florida, up there with Burrito Records, stuff like that. Right. And but he got really into the Brazilian post-punk stuff, and he started bringing over like a ton. So the thing with the post-punk scene is that like it's been going on since the early 80s, and you find that stuff in Brazil, and they have their shows, they have their there's labels, there's very specific kind of like clubs that they play and everything, and they just stay in Brazil. Right. It's very insular and stuff. But yeah, check out IFB Records if you Google them. He's got like a big list of stuff that he sells. It's really great shit. Okay. I've heard that Act 3 record just from like being in Brazil. Okay.
The first song is amazing. It's got a sample of like howling dogs. Yeah. Really like threatening and like frightening. It's amazing.
If I remember correctly, like it had like a weird kind of lo-fi thing to it.
It's pretty lo-fi. It's like it's kind of a little bit experimental. I've seen it compared to like the Raincoats and stuff like that. Yeah, it's kind of very minimalistic, a little bit experimental. But they kind of shift around with styles. There's a bit of like krautrock in there as well. And then they have like one super like new wavy like poppy punk song as well, and then 2 instrumentals. A really heavy bass. It kind of reminds me of Malaria a bit, the German band that I talked about last week a little bit. Have you heard of like Bruhaha, Babelico, Defala, and Armut? again, other Brazilian post-punk bands. There's members
Yeah.
of all those bands in this band as well. I haven't heard of any of those bands, so I can't.
No, yeah, it's a huge scene. It's kind of like an intimidating thing to get into, also, because like you pull at one string like Act 3, and you find like 5 bands, and then there's like demos and stuff, and then they also like 80s 90s did a lot of like CD re-release of like,
right.
It's kind of like, you know how like Ojo Seco, like there's 1,800 CDs of like their demo tapes, and their like you know, here's the singer in the bathroom yelling at his dogs, and that's a CD.
Yeah, I feel like I'm very interested and I'm intrigued, but I don't know where to go. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
Isn't there like a really good? Didn't Soul Jazz put out like a super like a double LP of like Brazilian post-punk? It's on
I'm
CD
sure there's
too.
got to be a bunch, but
Yeah. But yeah, it's great stuff. Act 3 or AKT 3, Frauenfeuer, like German title, obviously influenced by German bands, right? Discos Nada, 20. Great looking record. I love like the sort of slightly blurred photo, and then like the clear photo. Then you get like little sticker, and then postcard, man. Who wants a postcard? Send me your address. I'll write you a postcard. There you go.
oh hell yeah.
There you go. Postcard. Yeah, I'm very interested and intrigued by all this stuff, but at the same time, I don't know where to go with it. You know?
Nevin, great dude, great label too.
Who's Nevin?
He runs IFB Records.
Oh, okay, there you go. All right,
and I'll send you like I'll send you his distro list because I have it somewhere, and he's still carrying
before, I think, and I kind of forgot about it maybe, but yeah,
he's got the goods.
And another sort of very weird like aside to this is like Act 3, right? The record store that I go to a lot in Osaka, Disc Union, is in a building called Act 3. Like the name of the building is called Act 3. That's it. That's all I got. But I just a weird little like aside. Great stuff. Great stuff. All right, Daniel. What's your next pick?
All right. In keeping with Jeff a little bit, although I'm way more into the straight edge shit than he is, the straight edge music, but kind of the band that opened my head up about straight edge music. And this is my favorite hardcore record by my favorite hardcore band ever. And Life, Love, Regret by Unbroken from San Diego. They don't talk about straight edge at all on that record. Not directly. Yeah, it's just, again, I'm in a week of like comfort stuff, and this record fucking. This is one of the many. I'm sure we all have records that saved our lives. This fucking thing in the 90s, like, just did so much for me and still does. If I had to pick one hardcore record to listen to for the rest of my life, this would be it.
Wow.
It's super metal. It's emotionally unhinged. I
think you could probably be bold and call it an emo band, but you'd probably just be doing the disservice. But it's very.
But I mean, I would throw them. See, but I would throw them into like that mid 90s. What was getting called emo then? Like, if you had something like Prima and fucking Unbroken, they don't sound alike, but that emotional kind of thrust to all their shit.
Yeah.
That works. I mean,
it's also like accidentally emo, in that they were just hardcore dudes trying to make music that had some feelings to it. And then it was like, oh yeah, but we're screaming and it's metal and it's oops.
We're screaming. And here's the best part and the sing along part and the mosh part, but it's about how lonely I feel. Yeah, it's fucking. It connected with me as a teen, and it just never let me go. Like, I've flown to California 3 times to see them.
That's right. Like, you went to the Indecision thing, right?
That was one of those records that, like, I remember at the time, like, a lot of the people who were like couple years ahead of me and stuff, and like they were like, that's not hardcore, that's not punk, that's metal, blah blah blah.
Right.
Which, fair. I feel about that. I feel that way about some of the hardcore that comes out today, and hindsight, I get it and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, kind of like where a lot of the hardcore that I really like Agnostic Front, politically, and like just kind of that fucking like I will not be imposed upon, I will fucking be myself thing. There's like sides to it, and like Agnostic Front was one side, and Straight Edge was another side to that, especially like growing up in Colombia in the 90s and shit. And like this was kind of the one where it got super personal for me. And the guitar playing on this record it's not super tight, and like it's not Eric Allen, the member of the band who killed himself, like it's not the best fucking guitar playing you're ever gonna hear, but like it's just so expressive. All the songs work for me. There's the last song on here, Curtain, which is like a 9-minute song that kind of the song plays and it goes into this dirge, and then there's like screaming and slow shit and whatever. So I know it's not super popular with like kind of the more orthodox hardcore people and shit, but I fucking love the shit out of it. I have like, I don't know, 6 or 7 versions of this record. It's on like 3 different CDs that they've done. I just bought, like, they reissued it with the recording from Indecision 30 on it, which I was at. So I was like, I gotta have that. And then they did a glow in the dark variant, and I was like, well, like,
They might as well have put a gun to your head with that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
They came for you.
They did. They very much did. They did too with the Madball record that they just did on Glow in the Dark, the fucking Set It Off repress. I can't not buy Glow in the Dark records for some reason.
You can't buy Glow in the Dark every.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
Only Glow in the Dark records, you say?
Yeah, everything automatically cool.
But yeah.
Starting my only Glow in the Dark label tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm in. I got some seed money for something like that.
You've got one order already.
Chain.
Yes.
But yeah.
Kilroy on
Yeah.
Kilroy on Glow in the Dark.
Make Doug
Glow in the Dark.
Castle-shaped picture disc. Glow in the Dark.
Doug Moody, I think, is still alive. That guy's like 100 years old.
Oh my God, really?
He's still alive.
He's still out there.
Anyways, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to jump on anything.
No. Yeah, it's my favorite record. It's fucking my favorite hardcore band of all time, and I fucking love that shit.
Cool.
Yeah. I have that Worm Eaters record.
Jeff Soulbound Worm Eaters did a Glow in the Dark record on Sorry State.
And that was, I remember Daniel was putting that record out, and he's like, hey, I got an email from United that they just got Glow in the Dark vinyl. Do you want to do it? And we're like, obviously we do.
Who says no to that?
And I think that was the first Glow in the Dark record that I ever got, too. And it's like actually kind of green, because I got like, I think the new Chubby and the Gang record came on Glow in the Dark, and it was kind of like a milky white looking, but like the Worm Eater 7-inch is actually like a green color. Yeah. Like it's really cool looking. Yeah. Wow. So Daniel, you shouldn't have offered that because you knew we were just going to say yes.
All right. Nice. Tony, what you got?
All right. What do I got? I feel, I don't know. I have been listening to this week, and I feel like this is like compared to kind of like what you were calling the like kind of Oi Division, kind of new sensitive skinhead. I don't know what you would call it. This is the complete opposite of that.
The opposite of Oi Division.
Yeah. And actually, Oi Division was a cover, like the Detroit hardcore scene. Like those guys would do Oi covers, and they would call it Oi Division. So,
wow.
So
I didn't invent it.
There's the tie-in. So yeah, this is, I guess, the complete opposite of that. Tyrant.
Oh yeah, that record rules. Oh man, that band's so good.
Oh yeah, no, it's like I know I don't like I gotta I guess the the kids like to call things like almost like a compliment, like it's ignorant, like that's some ignorant hardcore, like I kind of would like to throw that compliment at this, but I like it too much.
I love that record.
Yeah,
and that's two of their records in one record.
Yeah.
Is that like their 2 7-inches on a 12?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, TKO did it, I think, last year. But yeah, obviously you guys are aware of what it is, and yeah, it's kind of rose tattoo. Yeah, I don't know, just knuckle dragging,
uninformed.
Like that?
Not ignorant, but uninformed.
That's even better. That's like calling someone whatever. What's the thing that, like, instead of calling someone homeless, they say they're like
unhoused.
Kind of like that, instead of homeless, unhoused, like uninformed, ignorant. But yeah, I mean, like the brass knuckles.
That's the first cover, yeah, and that's the second one. Yeah, it's got members of that band Night Fever from Denmark.
Does it really?
Born Dead.
Mike's favorite band.
No, I was excited about Night Fever, and then I began to hate it.
Yeah, I don't like the vocals. That part like doesn't fit for me, but maybe different
it's a love it or hate it thing.
Yeah, I loved it, and then I hated it. I don't know.
It was a whole bunch of emotions.
I remember when the Night Fever record came out, I was on tour with Coke Bust in Europe, and we were listening to it in the van as like kind of a joke, like, oh my God, listen to this. It sounds like Guns N' Roses meets Youth of Today. And then like by the end of the tour, we were like, yo, Guns N' Roses and Youth of Today both rule. This rule. Like, it was one of those things that was just like,
chocolate, peanut butter?
Yeah, it was like, oh, that's actually really good. Someone's like, who sounds like Danzig? And it's like, I fucking love Danzig. But yeah, so like they never played a show. They did the first 7-inch was from 2014, like a long time ago. And then the other 7-inch came out in like 2020, and they just never played a show. And then Night Fever did the record release show for the new thing, and they played their first show at that, and I think probably only played like 5 shows, if that, maybe less.
Yeah.
But we're talking Denmark, aren't we? Here?
Yeah.
Denmark, Tyrant.
Yeah.
Night Fever, both. Yeah, Denmark.
Yeah. And that band Born Dead. Somebody from Born Dead is in this. Yes.
But
yeah, I don't know.
Will Kinzer, who's now in he's in AJ and the Jays as well.
Sure. No.
You tell us, Mike.
I think so.
There's a guy named Will Heinzer on guitar. Yeah.
There you go. Will Kinzer.
Yeah.
There you go.
Kinzer. Yeah.
Kinzer.
It's the Old English fonts. Like H for an N. But yeah. Tyrant. What is it called?
Yeah.
Release the Animal.
Yeah.
On TKO, which is also a pretty good label in itself as far as doing the PI stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my pick. The what is that?
It's funny because we've had like both of the 7-inches shown on the show, and now we have like the full package.
Oh,
the 12-inch.
There you go. I completed it. No one else completed it.
The circle is complete.
Yeah.
I've actually got a record by a band called Tyrant, but it's not. There's probably a lot of bands called Tyrant. I've got the New Wave of British Heavy Metal record.
Oh, the one that came out like that got reissued or something last year.
Tyrant.
The one on Electric Assault Records.
Oh, maybe.
There's also a metal band called Tyrann, Tyrann, like, and they're a metal band.
There's a band called Tyrant Pace. There's a band called. There's lots of bands.
Yeah.
Similar.
You guys debate this. I have to run to the restroom.
All right.
We'll sort out this Tyrant thing.
Yes. Will is in Tyrant, and he's in J. Is it A in the J's? JJ in the A's.
JJ in the A's. Wasn't Born Dead California band, or is that a different one I'm thinking of? Like Born/Dead, or am I thinking of a different band?
That's the one that he was in, right? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that band was from California. I saw them once. They were good. I remember. It was a long time ago.
He lives in Denmark now.
That's awesome.
I think. Yeah.
That would make sense. Otherwise, he's got a long way to go to practice.
Right.
Well, that would explain
long
the 5 shows in 6 years.
Probably less than 5, to be honest with you.
I don't know, man. The first time I heard that record, all I could hear was Zoli from Ignite.
Oh, dude.
Like
The Night Fever record?
Yeah. Like, to me, it's like Zoli singing kind of metal. And I was like, I'm here for that.
I heard a couple of tracks on like YouTube and I was like, oh, this is exciting. And then I ordered the record and I was like, I don't like 38 minutes of this.
Which record did you order? The new one?
The new Night Fever, yeah.
The first one.
I've never had such a turn of like,
gotcha.
From like, I love this to sort of such disdain
so quickly. The first Night Fever record, New Blood, was the one that I was like obsessed with.
Oh, really? I've not heard that one.
CD.
What's that?
I have that on CD.
Oh, of course you do.
Of course you do.
Of course you have it on CD.
Should we wait until Tony gets back to
maybe. I mean, you're the host, man. I can keep the ball rolling.
What should I do?
Or we could talk about Night Fever more. That's cool.
I don't think I've got anything to say about it. But the second best like Bee Gees themed band,
the song
Tragedy. I took it off my. It was at the top of my best of 2024 list for like about 2 days. Now it's in the top 30.
It's one of the few like ongoing storylines on this show. The fall from grace for Night Fever.
Oh my god, that's so sad. I played with them like when they came to America in like 2012 or something like that, and I played with them twice. They were amazing.
Which band were you?
Fives. Played with them twice in New Jersey and Philly. So
to
kill time while Tony's not here, I have something.
Oh, go ahead.
This is I'm going to play What Are You Not Listening To?
Okay. Go.
So I'm going tomorrow. There's a Pusshead art show in New York.
Oh.
And I got this last year from Pusshead. This is a record. But when you get it, the vinyl has no grooves at all. There's no music on it. It's literally just a chunk of vinyl with a cool cover.
No music on it.
So it's what are Tony? We're playing. What are you not listening to? What I'm not listening to is this record because it has no music on it. But Pusshead decided to release. Cool. And I don't know how to file this. Like, is this a Pusshead solo album?
So it's just like Pusshead artwork in his.
It's a toy. It's a toy, Jeff. It's a toy of a record.
And that's where I have it.
I just picture him sort of like, all right, I don't know anybody who makes music anymore. Fuck it, just no music on the record.
I would have given you any of my band songs, dude. Like, you don't even have to pay me. Just give me free records.
Jeff, is that a tie-in with Astro Zombies from Osaka by any chance? Do you know
it's not. This was just Pusshead copyright 2023.
He's over here in Osaka a lot because he's really good friends with a friend of mine.
Yeah. I know.
He does a lot of like Safuli vinyl out there.
Yeah,
right.
There's some in that shelf right there. Those are all Pusshead glow in the dark vinyl.
Yeah, the Skullwing is the phone-based collab.
All right.
So my actual choice.
What are you listening to?
Now that we're not playing, what are you not listening to while Tony was away? So a couple weeks ago, I went to a show. It was Slapshot played and Shark Attack, the band from the early 2000s from Philly. They've been reunited for a bit, and the singer had like a really bad accident and almost died. So they just played their first show in Philly a couple weeks ago, and they played their second show back in New Jersey at the Slapshot show. And I was like, oh, all I need to know is Slapshot and Shark Attack. I loved Shark Attack when they were around. I was at their first and second show. So I'm a bunch, as much as I could, because they were local to New Jersey. So, Shark Attack is always going to be a band that was like super close to me. Like, I feel like the years have been very kind to them, having been on like Bridge 9. So I think they were on a lot of people's radars, and kind of like Floor Punch, like sort of got more respect as time went on. I have a really good friend in New Mexico, and he was like, oh man, you saw Shark Attack? That's crazy. And I was like, yeah, like nobody really cared about them. They never headlined a show, like, but they were great. You know, they had a great logo. Like in the time that they were a band, they released 2 demos, and one of the demos came out after they broke up. So they really only had like 5 songs and did a bunch of covers when they were around. So it's kind of cool seeing them now, and they'll do covers. But lately, every time I've seen them recently, they always make it a point to cover a Violent Minds song.
Oh,
Yeah.
And Violent Minds was a band that grew out of Shark Attack. The bass player, whose name is totally Zach Attack. He went on to do Violent Minds afterwards, and sonically, it just sounds like a continuation of Shark Attack. And but it's crazy to me that I feel like Shark Attack is like more well regarded, and you don't hear much about Violent Minds that much, and a lot of this, much like the Repos, isn't on streaming. I think their LP is, because it was like the arranged reissue version.
okay.
This record, Riot, they covered the song Riot when I saw them the other week, and like that's such a great fucking song. It's like very stomping, like almost a voice song. And so I was like, yeah, fuck yeah. And I was like the only person that knew it at the show, and I was like, man, people don't fucking know this fucking record's so good. And I was like looking at the record, and you know, it's Riot is 54 seconds long. And that's the A side of the record. It barely even covers half. It's like to hear.
It's almost like a Pushead record.
Yeah, it's not that far from a Pushead record.
It's not that far off from a record with no music. The next song, Search and Destroy, 37 seconds. The next song, DNYR, Don't Need Your Rules, 34 seconds. Yeah. This is like 2 fucking minutes of music on a 7-inch. But it's fucking perfect. Yeah. It's amazing.
It's so good.
I gave that record to a friend of mine once who, it was like at a point where I was like, oh, like I'm buying all these hardcore 7-inches again. And my friend was like, really? Why? And I'm playing them, and I played that record for him, and he was like, that was the biggest waste of vinyl ever. Like, not musically, he was just like, that was the biggest waste of time. Like we could have put it on one side at least. Like, that was his thing. And I was like,
just make it a tape. And if you, like, when I did my cassette label, if you sent me this, I would have been like, that's like 2 fucking minutes, dude. Like, what the fuck? It's so good. Like, it makes no sense. No one would put this out.
What you have there is a single, sir.
I would put it out as a single in a second. But, like, yeah, like, nobody would put out 2 minutes worth of fucking music. Yeah. That's crazy. But, like, Riot,
it's the equivalent of the modern trend.
Fucking awesome. Yeah. So, like, 3 awesome songs in 2 minutes.
Wow.
And I will say, I've got, where is it? On my arm, I got DNYR. Can't see it very well, but
nice.
Fucking awesome. Yeah. Great band. Really, if you love Shark Attack, really need to dive into the Violent Minds discography. I feel like a lot of people haven't like really been doing that.
Right. Yeah. Which was your pick, the Shark Attack or the Violent
Minds? Violent Minds. I was just setting it up with Shark Attack.
Love it.
That's a double pick. I know a
double pick. Triple pick.
You have to put that Pushead record on the sheet now.
Yeah, I think we should.
Describe this.
Yes. So one day someone will be like, "Oh shit, Jeff showed that in episode 91."
There's probably not a lot of them. I'll be honest with you. If there's 100, there are no grooves. There is no music. Fantasize and let your mind create the sound you might hear.
Kilroy.
Jeez. That's that's showing some BS.
Anyway. Last round. Man, I feel like my last pick is like the sort of exact opposite of that. It's I was going to do the big, the multiple for this one. I was going to show like every record that this guy sang on when he was in his band before he went solo. But I was like, no, I'm not going to do that because I might show one of those another time because I like that band. What's the opposite of like uninformed or ignorant? Like in the
smart punk.
This isn't even punk. This is like, okay, let me approach from a different angle. Like, what's the most beautiful record that you have in your collection? Have you ever been asked that question? I haven't ever been asked that question But if someone were to ask me that question, this might be my pick.
I'm thinking like kind of UK dummy rock, 70s rock in the status quo.
Beautiful.
Are you saying Paper Plane isn't a beautiful song?
It is in its own way.
Sir, how dare you, first of all.
Okay.
Wait, did you say it was Hungarian? I'm sorry. What? No?
All right.
Let me
go.
Like Stack Waddy. I don't know what.
Oh, man. Let me have a sip of beer. I feel like I have to be very serious when I talk about my last pick, but I don't think I can. But
right.
This guy maybe he still is. I don't know how old he is now. He's older than me. He's probably in his late 60s now. He was voted the most beautiful man in the world at one point. I still think he is, actually. And he's got
Tom Jones?
He got half of it right. First part.
The bass player from Duran Duran.
Close, actually, visually close.
Major.
This guy is like a sort of the successor to Brian Ferry and.
Oh, I know who it is. David Sylvan.
Exactly. Nice, beautiful. That's exactly who it is.
What do I win?
All the music from that Pusshead record.
Yes.
That's what I want.
So use your mind.
That's a good. I did give a lot of hints, but you still got the answer right. But this is the most.
I was trying.
This is the most beautiful record in my collection as of today. It's David Sylvian's Secrets of the Beehive from 1987. I don't even know how to describe this. I mean, David Sylvian is a sort of the successor to David Bowie and Brian Ferry. He's got this sort of deep voice. He's very glammy, visually. But this is it's such a departure from early Japan, which is super glammy. Then Japan got sort of more and more arty and quiet as they kind of went through. But even this is even far removed from Tin Drum, the last Japan record.
It's kind of abstract, isn't it?
It's a little bit, yeah. I mean, he has records that are more experimental.
Yeah.
But this one is acoustic mostly, which means just bass drums and violins and this. Well, Ryuichi Sakamoto is on here. He plays a little bit of a synth. You got to love Ryuichi Sakamoto, man. He's just an amazing composer. He did stuff with David Bowie too, right? So there's a connection. But it almost sounds like I've sort of mentioned Brian Ferry and David Bowie, but it's almost like a sort of 80s version of Nick Drake or Scott Walker. It's just these very slow, moody, atmospheric songs.
Talking language, yeah.
But the vocal melodies, so I think, that kind of sounds I don't think Scott Walker's Rosemary, that song. It's weird melodies that are just really haunting. It's dark, brooding, all those kind of words, cinematic, atmospheric. It's absolutely beautiful. I can't think of another word to describe it. I mean, it's you put it on, you have to get a really good pressing of this record because it's quiet. You don't want to hear any scratches and rustling, and you want to get a nice clean pressing of this. But looks like a 4AD record. It's on Virgin Records. It's because it was designed by Vaughan Oliver from 4AD. That's why.
Is there a photo of this handsome man on?
It doesn't look that good, actually. On the
hyped him up.
I've got to say, they say something.
He looks like he kind of looked. Do you remember Sally Jesse Raphael? Yes. In the Japan era, he had big glasses and the fruit.
He's been through some eras, but this is really the worst photo of him ever. When they put it on, this is the photo they choose.
But his most glamorous, he looks like Sally Jesse Raphael. He had gigantic glasses and
blonde hair.
Yeah. Like a young, unwrinkled version of Sally Jesse Raphael.
Hey, she's beautiful no matter what age. So
True.
as far as I'm concerned.
I know it's kind of hard to talk about because it's there's a song on it called Orpheus. Man, just go and listen to Orpheus. Turn down the lights, be quiet, listen to Orpheus. It's just beautiful, man. And I like everyone says this is like he has a lot of records. I think this is like his best one according to the internet consensus. This is his sort of classic, his masterpiece. Beautiful. He's got an amazing voice as well. Like it's like this baritone, but it's kind of like raspy as well. That's my last pick. I gave a little bit of a hint actually yesterday. I posted a picture of Japan, the Tin Drum record, with him on the cover eating rice.
Yeah,
like, this is me like ruminating over my picks tomorrow because I'm going to choose David. There you go. Beautiful. That's my last pick. All right, Daniel.
And as they say, and now for something completely different.
Great. We don't want any more Davids.
I'm not going to lie to you. This is going to be the one where I sneak in 2 records.
Nice.
Go for it.
And like the theme of like just shit that comforts me. Like I get into a place where I need shit to be really heavy, and I need it to be really heavy and really fast, and then I need it to be really heavy and really slow. So I have 2 records that I've been kind of bouncing off each other. They're both 12 minutes long, except one is 2 songs, and then the other one is 17 songs in 12 minutes. So the 17 songs in 12 minutes is there's not a lot of text on this. This is the only LP self-titled by Cellgraft, grindcore band from that light.
There you go.
Grindcore band from Tampa. 17 songs, 12 minutes, no fucking around. The guitar player in this band, Ryan Zell, a friend of mine, I put out 3 of his bands on my label because I love his shit so much. He's one of my favorite guitar players. He's in currently Antichrist Siege Machine, death war metal band that's fucking incredible. He was in Sacrados, one of my favorite grindcore bands ever. He's just super fucking talented dude, super great dude. He moved from Florida to Virginia. He was in, I believe, Asylum for a little bit, playing like hardcore. Like some of the bands that I did for him were death metal, but the Cellgraft LP is like everything you want about grindcore in 12 minutes. Like it's got kind of that edge of like grind death, so more kind of like Utopia Banished era Napalm Death a little bit, but it's so fucking and they're a 3-piece, so it's guitar, vocals, drums. It's fucking perfect. And I've been balancing that off of Fister, the Infernal Paramount, and they're a sludge band from St. Louis that I fucking love. And it's 12 minutes, but it's 2 songs, and it's slow and dirty and dirgy. It's If I Hate God focused more on metal and brought in more like death metal, a little bit of doom metal influence and stuff. They are, to me, the perfect like sludge / doom, whatever you want to call it, low and slow band.
Do they have a split with like Bongzilla or something? Or
no,
something?
With Primitive Man, and they have split with Primitive Man, which is fucking incredible.
Primitive Man is like, man, that's
dude,
heavy fucking duty.
You like their stuff, and like it's not on here, but they have a song called "Life is Shit, Life is Short, and Soon It Will Be Over," and so that will give you kind of like where you're gonna be mood wise to listen to them.
Right.
But yeah, like I was listening to them both, and I realized they're both 12 minutes, so it's like 24 minutes. It's like one pick, it's one record. But yeah, so 2 songs in 12 minutes, 17 songs in 12 minutes. like
Wow.
just incredible heavy shit, and just to be like an insufferable record nerd about it, because I really fucking love Fister. I have like 3 versions of the record. You're not gonna be able to see this cover. It's like RZA printed and then the test press.
Wow.
Like, I love those 2 songs so much because the first one has kind of more like a flow to it. There's like a part that's actually not that slow. There's like a kind of, you know, mid-tempo part of the song and stuff. The second one is just brutal. Like, it's punishing. You know how like Primitive Man can get like just sonically kind of overwhelming? Their shit just gets like dark and just fucking in the muck. And I love music that can just push me like that. So got my sneak in. Those are my last 2. Fister and
like, with the sludge stuff, I tend to, I don't know why, I tend to sort of go for the more like groovy, the more groovy stuff. I don't know why that is. Like,
I get that.
The Sabbathy stuff, like Sabbath influenced.
Dude, they do like
riffs.
You know the I Hate God Sabbath jam. Fister does like a live version of that. Incredible. They did a covers record where they cover like Metallica and Danzig and Possessed. Like, it's fucking great. Wow. They're a great band. Like, and they have like tons of shit, and they're fucking all their stuff is really worth listening to.
Nice.
So yeah, out with a bang.
Right.
Absolutely. Right.
Okay.
Last pick.
My last pick this is probably what I'll listen to once we're done here. Fog Weaver, Maglite, I don't know. Apparently, this is something that's called Dungeon Synth. Yeah. I don't know what Dungeon Synth is. I
was literally explaining what that is to my girlfriend today.
Explain it to us.
So yeah, so you'll be the perfect one.
I'll take back everything I said. Please explain Dungeon Synth.
Like, and my girlfriend isn't really into like a kind of shit. I just like, that's a genre, and like I boil it down to like, it's synth music that makes you feel like you're in a dungeon.
Okay. Well, then I guess
that's simple.
Well, then I guess I'm listening to it wrong. I don't feel like I'm in a dungeon. You know, I think it was honestly like whatever, having headphones on in the middle of the night, just laying down and like having the Spotify thing, you know, the algorithm tell me what to listen to. And somehow this came up and I was like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. And then I looked, you know, went online and I found out like, you know, it's a whole thing, Dungeon Synth. So I ordered a couple of records from the label. It's called Out of Season, which looks like it's pretty like black metal adjacent. Mm-hmm. And it definitely has elements of that. And like, when I looked this up, like the person who does this is like, you know, like is pictures on my Instagram, like, you know, they're in the woods, like in a big hat and, you know, stuff like that. They like had their pictures taken, like, I guess they're from the Pacific Northwest. Like they had their picture taken at some like amusement park where they actually look kind of cool. It's like I guess it's like a haunted house, but like the opening of it is like the mouth of a witch. So like they took their promo pictures in there. And the cover, I mean,
you know what? That's amazing. It looks more like a sort of prog rock record, you know.
Well, yeah, it looks like prog rock or something like a really talented stoner would do in high school, like for art class. You know, like
the nicest van in the parking lot would have that on it.
You know what I'm talking about. And it's cool because it's dedicated to Ursula Le Guin, Kay Le Guin. So that's, you know, that's cool. Yeah, Dungeon Synth. I don't know what that is, but
you do now.
To me, it just kind of sounds like this Popova soundtracks, like for Nosferatu and stuff like that. I played it for my wife. She was just like, "Oh, it sounds like Stranger Things." And I was like, "You take the fun out of everything, don't you?" And I was just like, "Oh." But then I sort of like, "Oh, I guess yeah." I'm sure this guy. I don't know if he likes Popova. Maybe they like John Carpenter or something like.
Okay.
or like, obscure horror soundtracks that I don't know about because I'm not young and cool.
My friend once described it as electronic goblin music.
Well, that's what I mean is like, I'm not listening. Like, I guess I heard it before I saw all of this.
Well,
like, I just heard it.
That's super interesting because, like, and I hate using this term because I'm fucking too old for it, but it has a very kind of definite vibe associated with it, like the art, that kind of aesthetic and shit and whatever. So if you come from it, because a lot of people, like me personally, I came from it from kind of like the black metal world. A lot of like solo projects for people in black metal bands and shit are like kind of like the seed of what became Dungeon Sith and stuff. So when I hear it, I'm seeing fucking, like 8-bit fucking dungeons in my head.
Right.
Like, but it's interesting that like if you play it to someone who has no concept of like the whole thing associated with it, it's just this like cool ambient fucking kind of driven thing.
Yeah, I mean, once I saw like the way they like their vibe and the dress, and then like I saw similarities to black metal in the way of like, I'm not really into that stuff. My brother was, but it was always like, what's this CDR you have? Oh, that's so-and-so from this. And what's that? That's so-and-so from this and this and that. And that's their Dungeon Synth project. And that's this, all the subgenre sound, like, and I noticed that like when I kind of went down the rabbit hole of finding out what this was, like, there's like subgenres within some genres. And then at some point I'm like,
I'm just going to listen to it. If you guys don't mind.
Exactly. Can I just like this? Can I just, have I got to that point in my age that I can just like something? But yeah,
if I'm going to have to go outside for this, I don't know if I can do this.
I always kind of thought it's like, okay, you've got this like black metal band, and 3 of the members are really busy, like they have jobs, at Walmart or the graveyard, and one of the guys like doesn't have a job. So like he's like, when the other guys are at work, he's like, what am I going to do? I'm like, sort of mess around with the size of them,
that's as good a theory as I've ever heard.
I should be working right now, but I should just do a Dungeon Synth thing.
I should just do a Bandcamp by the weekend. Work hard. It's a minefield, though, isn't it? There's a lot of bands that are under that.
Yeah, and I just don't care, and like I'm walking into it blindly. I'm not like my brother or other people have done this research. Like, I'll start listening to stuff and go down a wormhole and like hear something and think it's cool.
Right.
And I ask somebody else if it's cool, and like, hey, blah, blah, blah. Like, don't listen to that, or something like that. And like, I don't know what the story is behind it. I'm like, oh shit, I don't know. Like, there's so much, whatever, so many slippery slopes in that, in that genre. So it's maybe best to stay away sometimes. But as far as I know, this Walk Weaver's on the level.
Slippery slopes is a good, nice.
I endorse it. But yeah, it's good. Like late night, falling asleep. Music. So
I love the look of that record though. It's really
and it comes with like a suitable for framing print.
Oh,
so even if you don't like the music. I have a little bit over
something out of it. Yeah.
Some of these records come with like sort of like magic potions and stuff and like. And stuff like that.
Oh well, it's funny you say that because when they're in the other room, but when I opened up the package, I ordered 2 LPs and 2 Magic the Gathering cards fell out of the box. And that's like, it was funny because they fell on the ground and like my wife looked at them. I was like, hey man, like they're keeping it. You got to give it to them. They're keeping it real. Like,
that's Dungeon Synth, baby.
Yeah. Even if they're just like throwing it in there, it's like, just as a joke.
They're probably doing like fucking nerds.
Yeah. Like we can think we play this game. Yeah. But so that's my last pick.
Beautiful. All right, Jeff.
All right. So my last pick, I was debating a couple different things, and I eventually settled on this one. It's a band I've liked for a bit. They're from Chicago. They were very much a project band for years. Kind of still are. But they've released a couple demos, a 7-inch and 10-inch, and this LP came out this year. It's the band Lost Legion. Daniel had mentioned them earlier. This record's so good. Like, I really liked all the other stuff they've done, but like there's almost like subtle elements of like new wave of British heavy metal, but it's not a metal thing at all. It's just got some heavy riff, like there's actual riffs to it, and they're, you know, but at the same time, like I hear like the Pissed, you know, like there's like that song Fangs on here, like I want to pogo to that, like that. This band's, I don't know, they're very interesting, and like the record on the back, they've got like the crucified skinhead, but then he's doing like the so above so below thing with his fingers, like with some candles. Like there's definitely like, and the singer from Kulo did the artwork on this too.
We were talking about Kulo the other day on an episode, I remember, a few weeks ago, I think.
Kulo were great. People were sketchy, but the music was great.
Okay.
But so this band the other week put out a thing on Instagram. They're like, hey, if anybody could fill in on bass for a tour. And I'm like, So I've been listening to this record a lot this week as I ponder life decisions as a 40-something dude who would find it really cool to tour in a band he likes. But
I'd love to hear how you would pitch that to Stacia.
So I told my wife about this, and I was like, "You're probably going to say no, and maybe we'll put this idea to bed." And she didn't, and I was kind of mad at her because she really should have probably. Oh, the guitar player from Kulo, sorry. But yeah, I feel like she should have said no, don't do it because you're 40. And
why don't you just say I'm going to take my dungeon synth project on the road for a couple of weeks?
She's probably
I'm gonna play a bunch of fests in the woods.
I just picture just driving around in a Honda Fit with just the back just stuffed with all the pedals and electronic shit. The saddest tour ever. Yeah.
Did the art? Okay, yeah. I think we just said that.
Right? I thought it was the singer of Kulo. It's a guitar player of Kulo.
Okay, there you go. All right,
Mr.
Right.
Drugface.
Mr. Drugface.
Yes, it's credited as Drugface.
There you go.
Yes, and this is on Mendeku Diskak, who puts out a lot of really great oi these days.
Oh, by the way, the band that's like fucking Celtic Frost metal.
Just remembered it now.
Regicide, the French band.
Oh, yeah, that record's awesome. That's like Man of War oi. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's awesome. Yeah, and it's got like castles on the cover. Yeah, that's awesome record.
What's the name of the band?
Regicide.
Regicide. Wow.
Yeah, that's a great record.
Man of War meets oi.
Yeah,
man.
It's a bunch of metal elements from the 80s pushed with oi. It's and it's in French.
Is it French or is it Basque?
I think they're French.
I know Basque is like a French Spanish.
Yeah, no, I think
area.
that one's actually.
Is that in French?
Yeah, because I remember they have the name of the record is Immortels, which is in French, Immortals.
Sometimes the vibes are just so good you don't need to understand what they say.
Don't need to know. Uninformed. Yeah. Let's stay uninformed.
Yeah.
Uninformed.
Wouldn't all of us be much better if we didn't know what Gisdom was all about sometimes?
Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
All right. That was a great show. Had such a good time. Oh. But it's got to come to an end. We'll probably carry on.
Do we have time for a random pick like last week?
Oh, do you want to do that? All right.
I like that. That was funny.
If we're all like in reach of records, we can do a blind random pick, and we'll just show it. And
I'm going to look behind me and go.
How did we do it last week? Was it like we go one at a time?
Oh, I think it was one at a time. I don't think everybody picked it at once.
One at a time. I'm not
on that side of the couch.
All right.
Oh,
it's not going to be a feature every week. But let's do it.
It is now.
It is now.
Make it a thing.
Oh man!
All right. So I think we did a countdown last week.
Did we all do it at the same time and then go around, or do we go at it in?
Last week we did it one at a time.
Let's do it all at once.
Oh, yeah, that's better. Time. That's better. Yeah.
All right.
Save time. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pull.
Here we go.
Oh. Speaking of ska.
Oh shit! Whoa! We got ska record on the show. Hell yeah,
man! I got the Alex Harvey Band from Scotland.
Yeah, that's a good record.
It's a good one, right? It's a good one.
Hepcat Scientific.
Wow. Is that on Moonstar Records?
There we go.
Music is Victory Over Time and Sun Watchers.
Beautiful. That was I think that sort of showed the wide variety of tastes that we all have.
Yeah.
Jeff, this was actually on BYO.
I missed Atomic Rooster by one
Oh.
centimeter.
Speaking my language.
Mike,
All right.
I missed Tori Amos by that much.
Oh. There you go. All right, let me just announce next week's show. Tony Pence, Celebrate Some Records,
Nice.
Come back on. Great friend. Jesse Conway used to live here in Osaka. Great friend. Sash Mori, debut. It's going to be a good show. Sash Mori's debut. Next Friday, October 25th, 10 p.m. Eastern. The clocks go back soon, right? November 4th, 5th, 6th?
Not a
I've
fan.
lived in this country.
The clocks go back, right, for you guys?
Yeah.
Or
Not for
forward?
Daniel, who lives in a weird state that doesn't do it, right?
Really?
No.
Don't you do it?
Well, no, Central Time goes back, I think. See,
Oh,
now
everyone
you're
goes back.
out in
Alabama doesn't do
Yeah,
it?
Arizona, isn't it like Arizona doesn't do it or
Arizona's
something?
the one that doesn't do it.
It was
Okay.
I got it.
It just means that for me, it's kind of good. It means it's an hour later for me, you know.
There's one rogue state in America that just doesn't do it.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to stick around after the show and have a little bit more of a chat. It was a great time. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, stay healthy and stay clean.